Hi, this is Kevin from Gemini Outdoors, and we are continuing our series on fixed blade knives, and we are moving on along now to the bushcraft blade category. What are you looking for when you're talking about bushcraft type blades? And there's I guess there could be considered a debate going on in the outdoorsman world now, or survivalist world, whichever one you want to call it, of what makes a good blade. And to me, I've always said that your best blade is the one that you got on you, but picking out that blade to have on you is important as well. To me, a good bushcraft blade should be capable of doing, very small, intricate type tasks, and that would be, of course, carving, processing game, or food preparation. Let's just say that food preparation, and being able to make tools and stuff like that when you're out in the wood, bushcrafty type stuff. That's hence the name bushcraft blade. To me, there could be several different, they could go from anywhere from 3 inches up to 5 inches, maybe even less than 3 inches blade length if you want to. They can be, there could be a lot of variations in the different sizes of blades, the types of blades, the different grinds, stuff like that. But what it all boils down to is something that you can carry on you. This is the Elk Ridge knife, bushcraft knife that I purchased a while back. I haven't done a eval. I don't think I've done an eval on much of any of this stuff, so I need to get on that. This little blade right here, I like it, except for one thing, that it is kind of tough. It can be a little tough to sharpen. This little blade is so. And it's, I don't know, I don't want to do an eval on it because that's not what this is, but it's a decent blade. It's got a pretty good little belly on it that is pretty, really good for chopping. The one thing I wish it did have on it was some jimping. But anyway, let's move along to some different. What I do like about it is stainless steel. So like I said, the upkeep on this knife is not going to be as bad as, say, this one, the Schrade Model 36, which is carbon steel. So you would have to really take care of this blade really well out in the field. Like I said, just oiling it and stuff like that, excuse me, is really not that big of a deal. But some people are picky that way. They don't want to mess with it. Some guys get out there in the field and they're like, I don't feel like messing with this, having to take care of this blade out in the field. I just want this knife to do what I want it to do, and then I can throw it in the corner of my bedroom somewhere when I decide to go home and go to bed, and I don't have to sit here and worry about oiling the blade, all this maintenance to it. And I can completely get that. Sometimes when you get home from a trip, you just don't feel like messing with stuff. And I totally get that. I can understand that. But that's the responsibility that you take on when you decide to buy carbon steel, or whatever. It's just part of it. When you buy a gun, you have to be able to upkeep the gun, or it's going to rust, and what happens then? It fails. So you got to keep that in mind when you're buying the different kinds of steels. And I do prefer, like I said before, stainless steels for the most part. But I'm getting to where the carbon steel has a big advantage in the fact that it's stronger. As you can see, this blade has got one heck of a spine, and I took the coating off of that so I can use my fire steels with it. So throwing a little bit of oil on there, it really isn't that big of a deal to me. It's just upkeep, and I like to do that kind of stuff. So, when I'm picking a bushcraft blade, a lot of things kind of go into it. Like I said, I want capability. It needs to be versatile, but it's not going to be able to do the heavy batoning and chopping that, say, a utility or a survival blade can do. So you're going to be, if you're just taking something like this Coleman camp knife out there in the woods, and you're expecting this thing to cut through a log yay longer than the blade, it's not going to work. So you got to keep that in mind, that you're very limited in what you can do with a bushcraft blade as far as big tasks are concerned. Now the smaller to mid-sized tasks, you could probably get away with something like this. This is the Coleman camp knife. I did back when I was Kevin Sharp Outdoors, I did a video on it, and that video has taken off, and I've gotten a couple hundred views on it. I'd like to say thank you to all you folks out there for that. I'm planning on revisiting this knife in a future eval, and I'm going to run it through the same eval process that all these other knives are going to have to go through. When I was doing KSO, that was my earlier process of doing things. Really what I would do is I would hit on a knife and then I would leave it and just do a one-time review. And I've discovered that you need to invest some time in this stuff as well. So that's why I've changed my format to the way I've done it. So I'm going to revisit the Coleman camp knife for all of you fellas out there, and I hope it it's a good knife for the money. I mean, this is I believe it was either $10 or $20. It was below $20, I know that much. So there's you a good bushcraft knife right there for the money. You might even, it's a bushcraft knife. I was going to say you might be able to use it as a utility blade, but I'm going to put it squarely in bushcraft. That's probably what this knife would be best suited for doing. Another knife I found at Walmart that I'm going to be doing an eval on very soon is this little baby right here. It's the Mossy Oak, a Mossy Oak knife. It comes in a pack of 2. It comes with a Tonto blade and with this kind of a blade. Now, I'm not a big fan of these kinds of blades with the gut hooks and stuff, but for a bushcraft knife, I have found this thing carves like nobody's business. Stainless steel. I'm assuming it's probably a 440, but it feels really good in the hand. I really like the handle to it, I like the grip, I like the sheath. I mean, it is a sweet little deal of a knife. I bought this 2 knives for $20, and this thing, like I said, this thing carves really well, and that's probably going to be one of your main things that you're using these knives for, is for carving, doing camp tasks with them. Maybe splitting a little kindling. I wouldn't say go out there and split huge logs with them. They're not going to do that. Or if you do, you're going to be sitting there. You're going to be chipping away at that thing for hours on end. I know there's a lot of guys that say, "Oh, you can cut down a tree with these out there." And if you're in a situation where you've got the time and you really don't have to worry about the energy, and getting tired and all that, and your life ain't on the line, then hey, go for it, man. I say do what makes you happy. But just for me, if I'm going out there, I'm going to use a survival blade if I'm going to chop down, or an axe, or a hatchet. I wouldn't say an axe would be a viable alternative, but I think I'm getting off on the ramble again, so I need to keep myself on track. But a bushcraft knife I wouldn't use for heavy tasks. Heavy tasks are in the realm of survival blade, utility blade, and hatchets, stuff like that are designed for the heavier type stuff. Here's another little blade. That's the Schrade X Timer. As you can see, I like this one. It's got a nice handle on it. I think it's a full tang knife. This is more of a, I would definitely say a bushcraft knife. I have been testing this knife, as you can see right there I have been doing a light batoning with this, and you can do light batoning. You should be able to do light batoning with every one of these blades, and it shouldn't be an issue. You're just making kindling, or making a feather stick, stuff like that. If I was really going to do fire prep with these, I would probably make feather sticks with them. I wouldn't be sitting there batoning with them, but I do it just as it makes a good test, and I'm a gear evaluator, so I want to know that these can work doing that, and for the most part all of them to have. I'm currently testing this one, the Schrade Model 36. I am classifying this as a bushcraft blade, and man, I love this thing. But I think that this one could possibly even go up into the realm of utility blade where the Model 37 is. Simply for the fact because the blade is so thick, as you can see there, and it's just very, very utilitarian. I love the choil on it. You can choke up on it and get some really precision cuts, and it does really good at carving too. All these blades perform well at that. But a good bushcraft blade is something that when you're out in the woods, you know, it's something that can come in real handy. I mean, just having that thing, you know, and with the bushcraft blade, they're pretty much light. I mean, this one's probably the heaviest out of the bunch. The Schrade is. The Schrade Model 36, excuse me, is, in my opinion, it's a little bit heavier than the rest of them, but it's nothing to carry on your hip, and that's what I would probably do. I'd probably carry them in my hip, or I would carry them in a pack or a front pack or something like that, where I can get to it real quick and be able to use it really, really quickly. I mean, these blades, that's what they're designed to do. They're designed to be on your hip when you're hiking or when you're backpacking, whatever. You know, just performing little tasks, these blades, they can defend your life too. I mean, they're almost a perfect size for self-defense. You want something that's light and you can, you know, do your movements with and all that. I don't recommend to get into a knife fight, but you know, if you had to, I mean, they're there. And but for me, it's more, I view these as something that you're going to use out in the woods to do food preparation. You know, you can open cans, like I said, skin game, cut stuff up. You know, that's right down their alley. So I think that pretty much covers the bushcraft blades. I wanted, like I said, in this series, I wanted to get a little more detailed than what I did in my first video that I did back when I was Kevin Sharp Outdoors. But I think that pretty well covers it. So y'all have a good day, and we'll see you later.